and welcome to another episode of the Hambini Show. In today's episode, a new entry, not from the usual but somebody else, all the way from Massachusetts, a place which I can't even spell, but bear in mind I am only 5 years old. We have this Parlee SLI 75 frame. It was sent to me, and I'm not sure it's Parlee's fault, by a chap who had a few problems with his bottom bracket. Let me explain what happened. Here it is on the Princess blanket, which I have failed to wash because the dirtier, the better, as we all know. If only my wife or my girlfriend, now that I'm divorced, was as dirty as this. So kudos to the man that sent me this. This is dirty and I like dirt. This frame is carbon construction. I've no idea where it was made. Now, when I did a quick internet search for it, some people said it was made in Massachusetts. Some other people said it was made in a suburb of Massachusetts called Jammen. I am not so sure. In any case, it's carbon construction. It is sporting Campag Ultra Torque. Oh, is this focusing? No idea. Cranks. So it's Campag cranks, and that's where the problem starts. So the chap said he was having problems with his bottom bracket, and he's took it to a couple of bike shops, and what they did was they glued the bottom bracket in. And sure enough, if you look through there, I might take a shot for the PowerPoint. As you look through, you can see all the epoxy that they've put in. Now, he wants to have, obviously, Campag cranks, but the holes and these things are coming out. So we need to figure out what's wrong with it. So the first thing we need to do is to get these out. Just a word about the construction of the bike. Now, I have measured it, and to be honest, the geometry is pretty good. It's pretty bang on. The bottom bracket, don't know about yet because I haven't fished it out. But you know, structurally, the things that are square are square. So I don't know if it's a fault with the frame or the people that try to fix it. To get this out, this is a bit of a problem because I've just tried tapping it out and it wouldn't come out. So we need to press it out. Now, normally I'd use a 6806 puller because this is a PF30 bottom bracket, so it's 46mm by 68. This is the standard size, but Campag, being wankers, have decided to use a non-standard size around the outside. I'm also a bit reluctant to press on there because it's a bit far away from the reinforced point. The reinforced point is slightly inward of that. So I've machined up a tool that will go onto the outside where it is reinforced, and then we'll put a puller on the end of it and then yank it out. So I've set this up, the puller's hooked, see it lifting the bike, screw that down, put some tape there to protect the frame, and then it should be M12, so it's a 19. The right way, fucking hell. Right, like that. Should just pop out. If you get really tight, you can hold a spanner onto there, but there we go, that came out. On this side, it was proving a bit problematic, so I hacksawed 3 grooves into the side, and what they're for are to collapse the sidewall slightly, and then by doing that, it reduces the stress and can pull it out. This side is full of epoxy, so I've just done that, and I've also heated it up with a blow, only slightly, just to soften the epoxy up. Again, this side's a bit tighter, so that's spinning. I need to get spot on to the end of that. Normally I don't use adjustables, but yeah. So that one's come out as well. Hopefully you can see not the mountain of epoxy that's in the bottom, so that's what was holding it in. Yeah, so we need to get that out now. Heated that epoxy up slightly, and now it's become quite soft and then pliable, so it's come off. So that's what was holding it in. quite a lot of epoxy there. Just need to clean the rest of it up. Got all that epoxy out and I've got the gauges. So this is a 45.95, 46. We'll try the 46. That's clean in. So that side's well out of spec. On this side, which is the drive side, 46 is just going in as well. 45, 46, but it's not rocking, so it's not far off. But again, it is out of spec because that shouldn't go in. This is the non-drive side, and I put my ball gauge in there. It's a bit, you shouldn't really do it like this, but I've done it just for illustration. It's showing 46.05, so that is, you know, a slack fit.
It's that time of the show again. It is time for PowerPoint. Today's episode, which I know some of you have been creaming for, is called Wank Stains from the Planet Protein Shake Come for a Sleepover. There is some rather sophisticated engineering humour in there. I will leave it for the comment section to decipher it. And my esteemed work colleagues. Right, bye Hambini, aged 5. Merch will be reinstated shortly. I have got a new merch supplier. Friend of the hairdresser, no less. Right, on Grindr, you can find me at One Huge Anus. Fuck's sake. Who thinks of these stupid jokes? I don't know. Right, the Parlee Z5 SLI. Now, some might say it's the ZS SLI. Made in America, no fucking idea, I don't give a shit. Right, let's just check the pen is working. Pointer options, pen is working. Let's miss a few letters out. Bit like missing tolerances out. Right, the guy was going through these bearings actually every couple of weeks. So he went back to the bike shop and the bike shop epoxied it in. Which is a fairly extreme thing to do. So here's a picture of the epoxy. So you can see this mountain of epoxy. That's the overrun. It was the same deal on the other side. It made a right mess of this frame. Absolute mess. What it did highlight was the, I don't know, I mean, you go to these bike shops and they're trained mechanics. How can a trained mechanic do that? Fucking hell, it's just outrageous. I mean, oh my word, I don't know. Right, there's a few contributing factors to this. So the first is probably the mechanic. The second is the crank set. So this is Campag's Ultra Torque schematic. What you've got there is a hearth joint through the middle. Where's the fucking pen gone? Fuck. Oh, it's here. Right, the hearth joint through the middle where the two halves join together and there's a bolt that goes through there. That is effectively your method of installation. Now a lot of cranks have the joint on one side. On some cranks they have two joints, so one on the non-drive side and one on the drive side, but a Campag crank is joined there, so that's where your mechanical joint is, so you can get it through the bike frame. There's an interference fit, and this is really the only one, between the bearing and the axle. So most other crankset systems have the interference fit on the housing. On Campag it's on the shaft. There's a shim that you need to adjust the preload, and the preload is quite important, especially in this. Now in the last Campag video I did, I got abused, basically abused, that's the best way I can describe it, by fucking knobheads who aren't engineers, who don't understand any tribology, and they're just miserable shits. Basically they're wrong. You need to be able to preload the bearings. It doesn't matter if you preload on the left side or the right side. It isn't going to affect your chain line if you've zeroed everything out. So if you compress it the maximum amount, the maximum deviation you're going to get is probably less than 1/10 of a millimeter, which is well in the Campag chain line recommendation. So it's not really going to make a difference which side you put it on. But you know, people are on the internet and people are fucking stupid. Right, there's an interference fit on that side as well, between the shaft and the bearing. And then you've got transition fits from the bearings into the cups. So that's a fundamental difference. Now, the other thing is, there's a transition fit on that side. On the original Campag system, the OEE Campag system, one of the bearings, let's say this one here, is pinned. So there's a pin that comes through. This is the chap's cup from that side. And what you can see, hopefully, if the camera will let you zoom in, is a load of fret marks. So what's happened is that bearing has moved that way and that way by, I'd guess, I'd say 1/2 millimeter. Maybe, yeah, 1/2 millimeter. So it's moved that way and that way. Because this cup is only restrained on one side, you know, this axial stop here, is pulled out. And I think that's what's caused the fretting. So you've got sort of the culmination of a few things that have impacted, caused the fretting. This is much harder than the carbon that the bike frame is made out of. So the hard item will wear out the softer item, and that's why you've got this slack fit by point. If you take it from the bottom of the range, it's 0.08 millimeters. So you know, that is quite a lot. That's more than 3/1000 of an inch. So 3/1000 of an inch is 0.075. So it's a lot. This is a close-up of the Campag bearing. So this is a 6805N. So it's 6 mil across there. A standard across there, sorry. 6805 is 7 mil. So it's a lot more loaded than a normal 6805. The other thing that Campag has is, if you look very, very carefully, you can see the seal here is proud of the bearing by about 0.3 millimeters, which is quite a lot. If you put that into your bike frame, there's also an internal seal that is not shown on there, but it's on this cup, with an O-ring on this side to seal the insides of it up. The drag from that is quite a lot. It's a lot. So it's, you know, I've seen it before, in fact I've supplied them before, where people have removed this seal here and then fitted a standard 6805 in, and fits perfectly, and then taken out the internal seal just to get more speed. So I've said about that. Yeah, the seal is not part of the bearing, so it's a separate item. So it's good in the sense that you can fit a standard bearing in there, but you know, you'd have to buy that separately. Because of this bearing seal, if you get dirt trapped in there, which invariably you will do, it will put a groove, and it has done in this cup and also in this cup, as it goes round. And the reason is you just get a bit of grit, it's turning, and it just will totally trash it. And it's at quite a big radius as well, so you haven't got that in your favour. So you really need to frequently clean it. Right, the root cause on this is, I mean, the problem is you get the bike frame and you don't actually know half the things that it's been through, but based on what you can see and experience, first thing I'd say is there's probably insufficient preload that allowed the crankset to move in and out. So that's one thing. The fundamentals of the crankset being fixed at one end is another thing to do. This has caused fretting on the bearing cup, which has made the fit become slack. And then it's gone to a stage where, you know, they've epoxied it in, which just makes it even worse. And then, you know, it's ultimate failure after that. Now, we have a new scale. Now, because I was abused by various people who may become known in the world shortly, I have now the female-friendly scale of periodicity for Karens out there. On the right, we have the shiz, then the lick. Not the shiz, but not shite. Transitioning towards shite. Fully transitioned, don't go near, and socially distance your pen 15. Time, definitely the shiz. Timmy's Tea Room, the shiz. The Look Blade RS, now the 795 Blade RS, and that is transitioning towards shite, because I've had loads of people, I actually will say loads of people, 20, 30 people who've said their bottom brackets are now way beyond the quoted size for a BB386. So they're now specifying Token Ninja bottom brackets, which is fine, they'll go in, but you get a bit of movement, especially under load. So there we go. Birmingham University, oh my word, they are going to get absolutely slaughtered shortly. Some of their graduates, oh my word. Right, engineers who wear hoodies, also known as twats. Any of those who come through my door, actually none of them come through my door because they know my view on them. Shimano cranks. You can obviously see my highly sophisticated PowerPoint skills there because half of it's gone, but my Shimano crank has broken. Open Cycles, so that is the product of Messrs Vrooman and Kessler, those two fine individuals, one of them who lives in the tax haven that is Switzerland, the other one who I don't know where he lives, but they are doing a fine job in trying to sue YouTubers for exposing bikes that will put you in hospital. Parlee. Now this one is a bit of a controversial one because I'm not sure that it was the frame that caused this problem. So I've given them the benefit of the doubt. So they are somewhere around here. Not the shiz, but not shite, and transitioning towards shite. So if you are in Parlee headquarters, in that place starting with M and ending with another letter, which I can't pronounce, that rhymes with masturbate, it's somewhere around there. And whichever guy put the epoxy in here, don't go near, because he's supposed to be a professional. And it's got, I can smell the testosterone on it, so it's definitely not a female. You know, I can detect male hormones on bike bits all the time. That's probably a bit too much information. Anyway, I mean, seriously, I mean, who the fuck doesn't measure the hole? We've got a problem where the bottom bracket cup is falling out. Measure the fucking hole, man. It's just ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous. That's enough of a rant from me. Let me take you back to the workshop.
Now, this is the non-drive side you're looking at, and the hole's been cleaned up. I've taken all the epoxy out, machined all that out. You can see the damage that the previous bike shop had done by leaving all the epoxy on it. It's taken, you know, to get that even remotely close to being flat. It looks a bit scabby. Not really much you can do about that. The chap thought this frame was going to be scrap, so at least it's recoverable from there. This is the bottom bracket. It is slightly smaller on that side than it is on that side, so it'll be pressed in from the non-drive side. It's set up for campy cranks. So if I push hard enough, I should be able to get it in a fair way by hand. And I actually have done, so it's cleared the first landing, so that indicates that the fit on that side is almost side to side or slightly under, so now we have to press the rest through with a clamp. We'll just tighten this up now. Okay, we'll stop there and just double check it. Just double check to make sure it's aligned, and then we can continue to tighten. It's getting tight now, but that's a good fit. and that's it, we're done. So we can take this off now and then have a look. So this bottom bracket is all in. You can see there's no gap there at all. So if I get the feeler gauge out, we'll pick a smallish number. What's that one? 0.05, so well, 0.1, which is a sheet of paper. 0.04 of an inch. So that's pretty good. That previous bike shop did a real good job at fucking it up. Anyway, now we can put the crank in to just give it a test. This is a Campagnolo crank set. It's ultra torque. I haven't got the wave washer in because I didn't get sent it, but this is the guy's crank set. The bearings are bollocks on it, but we're just checking for alignment. So that's in far too far. When we put the other end on, should be able to get it somewhere close. So about there. We'll do the nut up and then give it a quick twirl. So there's no wave washer in there, hence the play. So that needs to go in, but obviously I didn't get one, so we're just going to test it without it. The bearings are bollocks, you can hear them, but it is spinning freely. Oof, they are rough bearings. But that will work. Just a close-up of those bearings. You can hear the sand in them. Oh, fuck. Thanks very much for watching this video. That brings us to the end of this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, remember to whack the like button. If you didn't, then comment below as to why you didn't like it. As always, hit subscribe, and if you do comment, I do read them all. Until next time, thanks very much, and keep banging your hairdresser.